Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining me today. This is just a quick video, really. I just wanted to show you essentially what's going on with the channel and basically signal some potential changes that are going to be coming up on the channel, and some quite big ones, especially for those of you that have been with me for a while now. Basically, I want to show you this sort of graph. This is the Empyrion Galactic Survival Steam chart. This is over the entire lifetime of Empyrion Galactic Survival, and as you can see, this is by average and peak sort of player count and stuff like that, right? Around about sort of 2020, June 2020, it had its absolute peak, and around about 2022 is the last peak that it had, and then since 2022 has been a pretty visible, albeit slow, drop off, with its last peak that you could say, I suppose, in October 24, and it's pretty much continued to just go down since then. The bottom graph is easier to see, basically, this sort of decline. They're now sort of in numbers almost relative to when they first launched the game, around about sort of 2015, 2016. Now, from what I can tell from the updates that we're seeing from Aileon, I mean, the game is very much being put out to pasture at this point. The updates are about sort of just finishing off storylines, dotting I's, crossing T's, ignoring bugs that are that are still happening and that they've essentially admitted to not being able to fix or not willing to fix, and adding or changing assets that nobody asked for. You know, it very much feels like since 2022, when you see the drop down and then the slow decline over the next 2 years, it very much feels like Aileon's heart is just not in it anymore. And we know from various sources on Discords and forums that the original developers of Empyrion aren't around anymore. They're not working on it. And so, I mean, I don't know this exactly, but this is the impression that I get. The Aileon office is essentially manned by a skeleton crew at the moment, who are essentially just caretakers. They're there to fix what bugs they can fix, but admittedly, by their own admission as well, there's many that they can't or won't. And the game is pretty much feature complete. You know, if it wasn't feature complete, we'd still be seeing huge updates and changes to game mechanics, the likes of which we haven't seen since before 2022, really. And what this slow decline that you see here in the Empyrion game chart, interestingly, is reflected in my own channel's performance. 2022 was a all-time peak for my channel. And then throughout this graph, you can see a very similar trending decline in views and watch time, all the way to today, basically. It's almost a freaking mirror image. It's crazy. This is causing me quite a bit of anxiety. I've got to be completely honest with you. This is not something that I'm enjoying seeing right now, obviously. The problem I have is obviously that I built my channel around Empyrion. It started with Empyrion. Majority of subscribers that I've got have come here for the Empyrion content. Most of you have stayed here for the Empyrion content. And while there are a number of you that essentially follow me and join me for whatever content I feature, you know, the majority is here for Empyrion. Problem is, the Empyrion player base essentially disappears, which makes sense. I should imagine it's probably going to dip down below 2,000 as an average, and then it will probably hover there for the rest of its life, as obviously the players with sunk cost fallacy, the amount of builds and stuff that they've done in, will continue to play on and off for the unforeseeable future. But the game is not picking up enough new players to replace the ones that are leaving. And therefore, my channel is not getting any new subscribers from those new players. And so the channel is not growing, which means subscribers are leaving more than they're joining. And ultimately, my channel is in negative growth. And I mean, you've noticed that I have been doing less and less Empyrion content for many reasons. This being one of the main ones. Since 2022, I have noticed this decline. And I have been trying to build audiences on other things to try and bring people in from other games that I feature this entire time. The problem is with building a channel across multi-game channels aren't really possible. Not really, unless you've got some really magical content, something like the Spiffing Brit or Let's Game It Out, where you just essentially take gamer parts and you produce really interesting content. It is not something that I'm necessarily capable of, unfortunately. I don't possess that talent. It'd be nice if I did, but I'm not kidding myself about that, right? I'm very much sort of in the mediocre Let's Play category when it comes to content creation, and I'm okay with that. Fine. I'm not saying that I wish to have these abilities when it's not something I don't think I'm capable of. Anyway, I digress. The point is, multi-gaming channels are very, very difficult to grow. In fact, the proof of that is the fact that I built this channel on Empyrion. I specialized into a game, and that game's audience and that game's player base enjoyed the content that I made on it. Now, if I keep bouncing around from game to game to game, I'm not essentially, I'm not really grabbing an audience from that game, and it's a much slower growth. In fact, as we can see from these charts, it's negative growth. It's bad times. It's not good. And so I have some choices to make. I have decisions to make. Essentially, Empyrion is dying. Let's be honest. The writing's on the wall. It's going, and I don't think it's going to come back from this. And despite the best efforts of content creators, scenario creators like Revian and Vermilion and other scenario creators who are trying to obviously keep Empyrion alive and interesting and things like that, it's still declining. And it will still decline, unfortunately. I've got to make a choice about what I do now. Now, I can continue to tread water, which is what I would describe that I'm doing at the moment, and trying to cover different games while continuing to sort of dabble, I suppose is the correct term, in Empyrion, and keep the current audience, you guys that are here for Empyrion, somewhat satiated and satisfied on that. Or I could choose another game and go hard and go ham and essentially try and rebuild an audience from that game. And let's be honest, if I choose another game, if I go into a different game, it's probably going to be around about 10% of you that follow me to that game. And with a subscriber base of 40,000, 10% is about the views I get on a new video of a new game that I've not featured before. I mean, just looking at the recent videos that I covered, we say a new game that I've never featured before, Painted Grail here, 11,000 views, which is good. The second video has 4,000. So instantly there's over a 50% drop off in views for that game. There's over half of the people that viewed that first video have decided not for them. Fine, not a problem. That's what we'd expect. And then that number continues to glide, 4,200 and then 2,800. This video is still pretty young, so there might be more views coming along for it. The point is, generally, it's sort of 10% or less of my subscriber base that tunes in for any video that I put up. And then that massively declines as that video series continues. Generally, that's expected. You put a new video up and you say, hey, look at this great game. Everybody goes, okay. And then I do another video saying, hey, look at this great game again. So of course, less people are going to tune in. That makes sense. But this is Let's Play content. And it's really difficult to keep numbers on Let's Play content. But the point is, 10% is about what I can expect to carry on over to any other game that I might do. That's going to massively drop off as I continue to hammer on about that game, as I did with Empyrion when I first started this channel. The idea then being that a new audience would come along who are already interested in that game. Maybe they're watching other content creators already doing it, or maybe they just discover me because they're really into the game as well. And through that transition period, my channel is going to be in the feckin' toilet. To put it frank, it's going to be in the absolute toilet. Because most of you, unfortunately, will not follow me to whatever new game that I choose to cover. And I've got to make a really difficult decision about what that is. And it's not an easy one because it's obviously fraught with doubt and second guessing and things like that. And whatever choice I do make will probably be the wrong one. Because I don't know what the future holds. I could go ham on a game and say, this is the future, and then it gets cancelled in 2 months later, you know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying at this point that I'm going to be dropping Empyrion, but what I am saying is that I'm no longer going to be considering it the bread and butter of my channel. I will, at this point, continue the current series to its end, and I will complete and finish and publish all the builds that I'm currently working on. That includes the faction headquarters. After that, I don't know. Most of my Empyrion content will probably be feature off of videos. Hey, look at these builds. Hey, look at those builds, that sort of thing. Look at this update. Did you see this POI? That sort of thing, rather than full-on series. As for the rest of my content, I don't know. That's part of the pickle that I'm in at the moment. I can probably safely assume that the late night streams with the Chaos crew are probably going to have to come to an end, only because I'm going to be having a second child soon and having 2 young children in the house, one of which will be directly behind this wall behind me when they move into their own room. It's probably not going to be a good idea for me to be screaming and shouting into the early morning with a sleeping baby behind me. So I expect that my stream schedule will change, as well as my video schedule, along with the nature of the videos as well. I still imagine that I'm going to be doing Let's Play content, because as I mentioned before, I don't quite have the ability and talent to do things like what the Spiffing Brit does, or channels like it. So it's all a bit up in the air, and it's all causing quite a lot of anxiety and quite a lot of self-doubt and fear, you know, to admit. The worst case scenario in my brain is that I'll have to actually jack all this in and go and get a normal job once again, which I loathe the idea of, because I absolutely love doing this. I really do. So I do want to say, before I finish this video, thank you so much for everything that you've done for me so far. Thank you for just turning up and watching my videos. Thank you for putting all those comments in the comment section. Especially thank you to all of you who are patrons or have been patrons, channel members, Twitch subscribers. Thank you for all of those that have played on my servers, and so on and so forth. God, this is starting to sound like a goodbye, isn't it? No, it's not that. It's not a goodbye. It's just things are hard right now. And I'm looking to bring things back from a precipice. But I'm not quite sure how. And I just want to express my thanks and genuine appreciation for all of you, for everything that's happened so far. And I really, really hope that, you know, I can turn this around. And I'm sure with your help, I can. But there's always that nagging doubt and that nagging feeling when something like this is going on. So it's business as usual for now. And thank you for your unyielding support. You may notice some changes. I will try and keep you apprised of them as I make decisions and what can change things about. You may have noticed I've already started putting more shorts up in an attempt to bring more traffic to my channel. Things like that. Wish me luck. Thanks again. See you soon.